Hi, my name is Santino Medina, and first I will show you the Babinski reflex. It is also a primitive reflex. The Babinski reflex can be tested in infants by firmly stroking the sole of the foot with a finger or a blunt object along the lateral side from the heel to the toes. A tonic dorsal flexion of the big toe as well as a plantar flexion and spreading of the small toes occurred together. This is known as the Babinski sign and is physiologically present in infants in between 12 and 24 months of age. Afterwards, the sign may indicate damage to the corticospinal tract. The onset is at birth, and the fact is it indicates immature corticospinal pathways. Persistence beyond 2 years may signal neurological issues. Next, I'll show you another primitive reflex, which is called the sucking reflex. The onset is 28 weeks gestation with an integration of 3 to 4 months. Now, when something touches the top of the infant's mouth, the infant will begin to suck. So you will see this whenever something touches the top of the infant's mouth, on the inside, specifically like the hard palate of the mouth. So like the roof of the mouth. It will actually automatically just start sucking. It's an involuntary thing that happens. So again, this helps the infant with feeding by allowing the infant to pull a food source like the breast or a bottle. And now this reflex disappears about 4 months of age. And then this is essential for feeding, and absence of this interferes with nutrition intake. We go on to moral reflex, which is also a primitive reflex. There's an onset of 20 weeks gestation with an integration of 4 to 6 months. Now, when an infant hears a sudden loud noise or experiences unexpected movement, the infant will extend the arms with palms up and then move the arms back to the body. Sometimes crying is noted afterwards. Now, remember, this reflex disappears around 6 months of age. This is a protective startle response, and persistence may lead to hypersensitivity or poor impulse controls. Next, we have another primitive reflex called the gallant reflex, with an onset of 32 weeks gestation and disappears between 3 and 9 months of age. This reflex encourages movement and crawling, but persistence may cause fidgeting or poor posture. The gallant reflex is an involuntary movement present in newborns and infants that involves lateral flexion of the trunk in response to the stimulation of the spine. Now, you want to hold the infant in a prone position face down. Gently stroke one side of the spine from the neck to the buttocks. Then observe the lateral flexion movement towards the stimulated side. So the baby will basically move the hips left and right when stimulated. Now, any retention of this reflex beyond the 9-month limit could be associated with developmental delays, sensory processing disorders, motor coordination difficulties, and possible attention and focus issues. Now we're on to the last primitive reflex called the rooting reflex, with an onset of 28 weeks and 3 to 4 months gestation. Now, when the infant's cheek or side of mouth is stroked, the head will turn towards it and the infant's mouth will open in an attempt to suck. This helps the baby find the food source when feeding for the breast or bottle. Now, absence of this may indicate CNS depression. Now to the postural reflexes. We begin with the parachute reflex. With a 6 to 9 month onset, this reflex may persist throughout the lifespan. Now, this is a protective reflex that helps prevent injury during falls. Now, hold the infant normally. Now, hold the infant facing downward like it's falling. The baby will extend its arms to break the fall. This is the parachute reflex. The second postural reflex is the Landau reflex, with an onset of 3 to 4 months and 12 to 24 months integration. This reflex integrates tonic neck reflexes, and it is important for posture and head control. Now, hold the infant like this. Now, say you push down on the head. The legs will also push down at the same time, and then once you let go of the head will go back up, and so will the legs. Next postural reflex is the labyrinthine reflex, with an onset at birth to 2 months and integration that may persist throughout the lifespan. This reflex maintains head alignment with the body tilts. It's crucial for posture and balance. The reflex is triggered by the movement or position of the head in relation to gravity. When the head tilts forward, the baby's arms and legs flex or curl inward, pulling into a fetal position. When the head tilts backwards, the baby's arms and legs extend outward and stiffen. So supported from their stomach and lifted up in a face position, a newborn's head should remain level with their neck, while their arms and legs are not hanging straight. Then position face up and lifted, laying flat on their back. The baby's body should display a slight extension of their limbs, followed by a slight flexion, and their head should not be fully retracted. The next postural reflex is the body righting reflex, with an onset of 4 to 6 months and an integration of 5 years. This reflex helps segmental rolling and trunk rotation for mobility. Now we are testing with supine position. You want to flex them over the chest and rotate the limb across the body. This response is the infant upper body will follow the pelvis to roll. It will follow the pelvis to roll. The last postural reflex is the neck righting reflex, with an onset of 34 weeks gestation and an integration of 4 to 6 months. This reflex enables rolling from back to side. It's a precursor to independent rolling. Now we test with the supine position. You turn the baby's head to one side, and the response should be the baby's entire body will turn in the direction of the head. Do it to this side, the body should turn to that side. Do it to this side, and the body should turn to that side. Thank you.